I want them to see form in nature is what I want them to see. And I want to see how that form in nature also responds to the environment where the sculpture is located. So it starts creating a presence of a place. It really defines that. So you have an open format here, could be a place where people collect or cross the street. Then all of a sudden you put a piece of sculpture in that area and all of a sudden it starts to transform that space. And it makes the space maybe a little bit more prominent or dominant because of that piece of work. But it also has a relationship back to the viewer as well. The fabrication work is industrial welding, so it is. There's a lot going into that. There's a lot of time spent in the studio. There's a lot of grinding and welding. But once you get that work done and you get that accomplished, then the creative process takes over. And it allows you to start putting together that compositional form that you're looking for. And so I work from drawings, I might work from a model, but in the process of doing all that work, things change all the time. It takes on a natural life of its own, right? Creatively, because the creative mind works in certain ways. So it gives you like a starting point, right? A direction that you want to go from. But underneath it all, it wants to create, it has its own specific vision, and so the artist becomes the vehicle for that. As you start moving around the piece, it changes each and every time. So just because you view it from this point and it becomes narrow and a little bit more open, as you walk this way, all these forms start to compress and then expand in a different way. And it creates a much more dynamic contour shape about recognizing that form or that volume in space. And as you come around to this side here, it takes on that narrowness again, right? And that form and that volume starts to disappear and it opens up to something else. And then you see this piece starting to unfurl or open as you move around it. So it becomes animated as a stationary form, non-kinetic, but visually as you move around it, no matter what side you pick up from, either it's opening or it's closing, or it's describing a new form. So for me, things start out as seed embryos and they grow and they develop. And given enough potential in a proper location, they can turn into magnificent forms, right? And then there's also a point of dormancy within nature as well. And so I look at that. It's sort of like, after that seed embryo grows and develops, it drops off or falls back. So that process of unfurling is that element of new growth and life, but it's also going into decay, transforming through metamorphosis a new life form.